Thank you for tuning in to Black Friday Live. I'm your host, Linnell Taylor, and today is a special edition of Black Video News. I have with me Mr. Jarvis Moore, founder of Inside Out for Jesus. It's an awesome program, and I'm going to let him do a lot of telling you about it. But I just want to say that this program is a mix of dealing with faith and taking care of our community. And it disturbs me some that on the news this morning, as I was watching one of the local programs, they were talking about how approximately 70% of Americans say that they do not consider themselves religious and that they question their faith. And when you think about this time in our society, you would think that that's what we need more than anything, depending upon our faith, being able to turn to our churches or our religious organizations for assistance, whatever it may be, that this time more than ever we would need it. And we're finding that so many people are turning away from their faith. So I have with me, as I shared, Mr. Jarvis Moore, who's going to tell us about what Inside Out for Jesus is all about, what they have to offer, and then the exciting events that they have coming up. So without further ado, thank you, Mr. Moore, for coming on.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it and welcome the opportunity. Inside Out is a pre and post-release ministry that works with individuals both on the inside and out, in working with them, getting them jobs, working with them on housing, and other resources that are needed to become productive members of society.
Okay. And so before I let him go further into telling us more about Inside Out for Jesus, I want him to just tell us a little bit of how he came about founding Inside Out for Jesus, being that he's the founder, and a little bit about his personal story and how it led to this particular, what I like to call ministry.
Okay. I'm gonna, make it real short. 1997, I was involved in a situation that ultimately sent me to prison, and I spent 13 years in prison. And coming out, I had received the Lord on the streets of San Antonio. I came to a church, VGC, right up the street, and they introduced me to Christ. And that was April 12th, 1995. At that time, I had a warrant for my arrest. And I trained there in that ministry up until 97. I was going back and forth to court. And so make a long story short, I went to court, I was convicted and done 13 years. During that 13 years, I shared what I had been taught. That is, the gospel of Jesus Christ can save and will give you a future.
Yes.
And in that, when I was released in 2009, which Sunday, the 3rd, to be day for day, I've been free 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank
on
you
that.
so
10
much.
years.
10 years. And when I got out, I couldn't get a job because there was a glitch with my driver license, and I couldn't get a license, so meaning that I was unemployable. And so I started doing odds and end jobs, which eventually led to, because I didn't have ID, my wife and I started Get Right City, which was a lawn and cleaning service.
Okay.
And so that evolved into staffing and convenience service, which we use as a platform today to give employers a platform where they can take our employees and try them before you buy them, if you will. So all of the places in which we staff labor throughout the city of San Antonio has a potential to hire. So we've been successful in getting individuals full-time work through that platform.
Okay.
Because employers are, the reality to that are a little apprehensions about working with second chance individuals.
That is so true.
But we give them that window and we shoulder those responsibilities until they can say, hey, yeah, this is a product I need, and this is a person that can fulfill that slot. And so we've been successful in having that platform. And so that's the outside piece.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
outside piece. The inside piece, since I've been out, I go through to prisons throughout the state of Louisiana, Alabama, and we go into prison to share life with men and women that there is a life after this.
Okay, and you said Louisiana and Alabama. What is that connection?
The Louisiana, we were selected, and I'm talking about David, who actually was a disciple of mine while I was in prison.
Okay.
Out of Houston. He has a ministry in Houston. We went to Angola twice to seek out how that program. They had a seminary program there under the warden Beryl Kane, and we were ex-offenders that they wanted. There was Texas Ministries we went in with to give them insight on how these programs would work in Texas.
Okay.
And so now we have that same seminary program
here
at the Darrington unit in Sharon, Texas,
okay.
Right outside of Houston.
Right. Yes, sir.
So that was that. And then I have some ministry friends in Alabama, which would go into the youth facilities and work with the youth there.
Okay.
And so that's kind of what we do in terms of going into prisons, and sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ with men, because I know that it can change your life. It changed my life.
Right. And there's often this stigma that people don't want to work, or they don't want to do anything, or they're just going to go back to those regular lifestyles that got them there in the first place. But oftentimes that's a big misconception. What people fail to realize is it's hard for the average working person when you lose a job and have to start again, and skills have changed. Maybe you've been on a job for 10, 15, 20 years doing one thing that doesn't work out, and you have to start again. It's already hard. But when you're talking about someone, as you said, who have spent some time in prison, coming out and transitioning, it's hard. You have employers that don't necessarily want to give those opportunities for second chances, or individuals who feel like, I just can't, and they revert back to those old ways. Right. So in this program, what are some of the services that you all offer so that individuals don't feel like they're stuck in that gap, that I only have to go back to selling or whatever it is, hustling, right, that got me in that the first time? Well,
we have a plethora of laborious jobs that would enable anybody. And sometimes this could be the spouse of the individual that was incarcerated.
Okay.
And so it doesn't take a lot of skill sets to do cleaning. It doesn't take a lot of skill sets to be kitchen utility. It doesn't take a lot of skill sets to help set up events.
Okay.
And so these type of job slots, the individual is able to get in. We're able to run their application process within a day. And they can be working within 2 days.
Well, that's good, because I know some organizations, like you said, a day, it takes you almost 30 days just to get processed.
Right. Yes. And we don't have a holding pattern. So say, for instance, our payroll is from Monday to Sunday, and Sunday pays out Friday. So if a person started working today and work to Sunday, everything they work from today till Sunday, they get paid next Friday.
Okay.
And so that's very important.
That is.
Because when people are getting out of prison, getting out of institutions, jail, whatever it is, or just find themselves in situations where they need to make ends meet, say the spouse of the person that got locked up, and now she is needing extra funds. Mm-hmm. And she can't wait 3 weeks to get some money. She needs some money relatively quick. Yes. And that's as quick as we can do it. But it helps. It helps. And so one of the things that we do coupled with that is we teach individuals about the work culture itself. and understanding that every individual brings a culture with them. And understanding their culture, they're able to identify the culture that's at place at work. And what we teach them simply is that if you don't adapt to that culture, we can't pay you.
Okay.
You know, let me explain.
That's
that.
fair.
Let me explain that. It's like this. You can wear your pants down. You can sag all you want to, but between this 8 hours, we need you to wear a belt or we can't pay you.
Correct.
You can wear all those earrings in your face, but when you go to work, we need you to take them out for 8 hours. And so we're not saying the culture that you've chosen to do
or
is
that
bad.
You can't
okay?
be you. Right.
But if you want us to pay you, you have to adapt to this culture for 8 hours.
I think that's a very important person. And I always revert back to being a teacher and helping young people in particular understand. And I know you have older individuals who say, I'm me and I'm not changing. But the reality is you can still be you, but there's a time and place for everything.
Right.
There's a time and place for everything.
And what we've learned on that is that when we attach that monetary with it, people are more amped to adapt.
That is correct.
Because now we're talking about your money. We're not talking about your culture that you've chosen to follow.
Right.
But we're talking about your money. And what we found is that after a while, they realize that it ain't that bad wearing a belt.
That's so
it's
true.
not that bad. And they're making money.
Yes.
And so it creates a motivation to change. Because the reality is if an individual don't learn something new, they're going to go back to the same thing. And so what we're saying is that, no, I can't match you picking up a dope sack.
Right.
But if you're willing to make some sacrifices, we can show you ways that in time, this is not going to happen overnight, but we can create some plans and you can see where you would be successful if you continue along this path rather than going that way, because you already know the pitfalls of that.
Where it's gonna lead you to.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about something, because in talking about individuals being locked up, being in an institution, as a judge put it, for one person, 6 people are almost affected. It may be a wife or a husband, there are kids, there's a mother, a father, there's siblings that are oftentimes also burdened by that one individual going away. Because if there's kids involved, there's someone having to raise kids. If that individual was the support system to someone else, now that person is lacking. Yeah. So what people fail to understand is that one person may be doing the time, but multiple people are involved and affected by it. Absolutely. And so in thinking about children, what type of support do you have for those who are in prison, for their children or their spouses, or even grandparents? We talked about the reality of grandparents having to raise so many children because of their parents being incarcerated. And
so Inside Out is the 3 prongs. The number 1, we work with individuals coming out of prison, getting them work, getting them placed to be productive. Number 2 is working with those children of incarcerated parents, because the impact is so broad that you can't say because this individual was incarcerated, their child was XYZ. It's so broad. And so understanding that dynamic, we have to be inclusive of that. The 3rd prong, the caregiver, that caregiver who oftentimes shoulders that responsibility after out of sheer love, out of sheer love. And we want to connect them with certain resources that are available to them and make sure they can get there, make sure they can receive them, and make sure those kids have the right mentoring and activities that they can see. Because I'm a firm believer that if you give kids visions and show them other avenues, then they have something else to aspire to. But if they only see what they see and there's no other encouragements there, well, then the chances are very low that they're going to travel a different path.
Breaking those chains we talked about. And you brought up something very good before we came on, talking about, this pipeline to prison is real.
Right.
We hear every day that they're building more jails, more prisons. However, it's not to say that the prisons we have now are overcrowded, but they're just people out there predicting that if we already have so many individuals locked up now and they have kids, that their kids are just going to repeat these same behaviors, if not worse, and they're getting ready for them. That's the sad reality, but it's what's happening.
And I believe that, because we work with second chance individuals, we have a stronger responsibility to work with the children of those individuals. Because when the state of Texas says that we need more beds in the year 2025, they're not saying that crime is elevated. Right. They're not saying that the jails or the prisons are full. What they're saying is that we have X amount of children in school that have this many parents incarcerated. Based on those numbers, they can statistically say we need X amount of beds. Now that's the truth.
Wow.
That has been going on for years. And that's reality. But it is a truth that I believe that we can change that. Oh, yeah. Now there are some people that get out of prison and that we begin to try to work with, and there's nothing we can do with that. But I'm talking about little children that had no say so in the matter, that we have to put a greater emphasis on those works because they have opportunity before them that they can choose different paths if we give them the tools and resources to do that, because it's a real statistic. If we don't do something about that, it's going to continue to
trickle down, and the cycle just continues.
And so that, I believe, is a statistic we can truly fight, and it's a good fight that we really believe we can win if we put the right resources on it. As a child, if you're given the right opportunities and exposed to the right understandings and visions, I think it broadens your ability to explore other things.
Yes, it does.
And so I think what's happening is somewhere along the line we missed that with some generations. Yes. And we just have to get back to it. We have to get back to that, especially with those that don't have a parent there. And I'm gonna share that with you because I was a child of an incarcerated parent. I became a parent that had children, and I was incarcerated. While I was incarcerated, two of my boys went to prison twice.
So that cycle had.
Yeah, and when I got out, one of them went back again. So when we speak about recidivism and we interpret that, it's three reasons people are going to quit going to prison. They're going to die. Mm-hmm. They're going to get so much time they're not getting out.
That's true.
Or they're going to say, for whatever reason, Christ and change my life, this don't make sense no more.
I'm tired.
I'm tired. Whatever the case might be, one of those reasons they're going to stop. But if I stop and my offspring is still going, have I really stopped going to prison?
No.
Because as long as my offspring is going, from my perspective, I'm still in prison. The recidivism chain has not stopped until we focus on the offspring of those that have been incarcerated. So it's almost like you can't work the front end unless you secure the back end.
Correct.
And so it's a holistic approach, if you will. to that
To that.
subject matter as a whole.
So I want to talk about this program because it is awesome, and you're talking about something that truly touches my heart. As I said, being a high school teacher for a number of years and seeing young men and young women following in the pathways of their parents, and trying to just encourage them, there is another way. And then in speaking and knowing some, I have a cousin right now. He, in my opinion, was doing everything right. He was breaking the cycle of his family.
Right.
He got offered an opportunity to go to college, break that cycle, get out, break the mold, and he's doing time right now in prison. But it was one of those, he wanted it quick, didn't want to be patient, and again, didn't take advantage of resources that were available when he felt like there was nothing else he could do. So I want to talk a little bit about, I know you all have a fundraiser coming up so that individuals can participate at the event, or if they can't, we want to talk about opportunities and ways you can help Inside Out for Jesus continue to prosper, continue to bless and give back to our city, because there is a great need. We want to stop losing our young men and our young women to the system. We need to break those cycles now. And as I opened with talking about people losing their faith.
Right.
If we don't even have faith to hang on to, that's what got a lot of people through.
Right.
But now we don't even have faith, and people are questioning their religion or don't want any association with it. It's a scary idea, scary theory.
And while you're on that, I just have to share this, losing faith. I want to encourage, pastors and clergy and ministers alike to, when a member, for whatever reason, falls or have issues and are locked up, or my Bishop Donnie Banks, and his wife, who we passionately call Mama Jackie.
I went to school with his son, Dante.
Did you?
Yes.
Yeah. Throughout my whole incarceration, they stayed in touch with me. They wrote me. They financially supported me. Even when I got home, Bishop, he came and got me from prison. He drove and came and picked me up.
Himself.
And that's uncommon.
Yes.
Even when I shared with the guys in prison that he was coming to pick me up, they couldn't believe it. And not only did he pick me up, he while we was coming back to San Antonio, his wife called, Mama Jackie, and said, y'all stop and get him some clothes and change his clothes.
They already knew.
These are things that are monumental, in your life of transition. And even when I had the issues of with my driver's license, actually with my birth certificate, is the reason I couldn't get an ID or renew the driver's license that my wife had the whole time I was out.
Okay.
My wife, Dorothy, was very supportive throughout my incarceration. She had her moments, but for the most part, she supported me throughout that ordeal. And so even my point is when I got out, I had my wife, I had a home to go to, I had my church support. I even got little odd works from people in the church.
Okay.
With that, it was still difficult. So imagine a person getting out. They don't have family. They don't have a support net. They're not even connected to it. And I look at that and I say, wow, man, if I didn't have these supports when I got out, it would have been even just that much more
difficult
to transition. And so when people get out, especially when they've gone extended stays, and some of those family members are, they're gone. And so there's some real issues that we're dealing with. And if we don't have some real resources, and when I say real resources, I'm speaking because the resources that I encountered, they was telling me to fill this out and, and wait. And then I go somewhere else, they say, fill this out.
And then wait again.
And wait again. And so when people are coming out, they need some real resources.
Immediate resources.
Yes. And so that's very important. And I want to encourage to always, Jesus said that, when I was in prison, you visited me, and that is very, very important. It's very, very, even if you can't go there physically, write a letter, especially if this person is connected to families in your flock. There needs to be some outreach to that. And if we'll help you with that. That's what, Inside Out is based on letters. 2 Corinthians 3:3, for as much as you're manifestly declared to be the epistles or letters of Christ, not written in ink, but on tables of stone, but on fleshly tables of the heart. God is saying we're letters. And so we wrote each other throughout my incarceration.
As a way
and we encouraged each other. And so that's very key. And so I just want to encourage that's very important. And for a person to get out and have a mindset that I can make it out here. And nobody can make it alone.
That's correct.
Whether
you've been in or out.
Right. I've had some supports. I've had some helps that, just like when we started Get Right City, I didn't have a driver's license. My Get Right City is a woman-owned company to this day, which came to be a benefit for us because turns out some of the places that we got in were looking for African-American woman-owned companies.
Okay, so it's perfect. And so, right on time.
Talk about woman helping you. Yeah, and so it's a blessing.
Well, look, you talked about driver's license, and before we end it with talking about the event, there are two things that people need to know about driver's license. He mentioned it, but the policies and the laws today have changed. So people who, whether you're getting out, yours is about to expire. One of the new things is you need a birth certificate to renew your driver's license. One of the big hindrances before you can apply for jobs, everybody needs some kind of ID. Yeah. So if you haven't already located those documents, or if you are holding on or you're the support system for someone with those kind of documents, birth certificates, try to track those down and get those in order, because they will need birth certificates to renew driver's licenses or our state IDs. And then the second thing, just another plug for those of us getting our things in order, those who may travel, having the new star stamp on your driver's license. That's important. Many people don't even know and realize that that's going to be something that affects you. So if you haven't gotten that done, make sure you go out and take care of that business so you're not stuck in a situation, again, just not knowing and lack of resources telling us that these are things we need to do and have.
Right.
All right, so tell us about this awesome fundraiser.
Yeah, the fundraiser is, we are calling it a Making It Celebration fundraiser, where we are showcasing where we are 10 years later of not only my being out, again, day for day, Sunday the 3rd will be 10 years that I've been home, and we're celebrating the formation of Inside Out. For the first 13 years I was in prison, and that's actually when it started, from Bible studies in prison. And so this is the first year that God gave me peace about um, uh, actually forming a nonprofit 501c3 for Inside Out, and putting what we do under that umbrella. So that, because we've realized that there's so much to do, we can't do it alone. We've connected with Haven for Hope, Chrysalis Ministries, um, several other organizations, Lift Fund, Lester Bryant, who will be giving some financial literacy to the individuals. We're connecting with people that can help our peoples go to that next. And so we're celebrating that. And at the same time, we are having a fundraiser for the infrastructure. We have Arlene Siller, who is a grant writer, who is going to be assisting us on a consulting basis. We have Dr. Piper, who is with Incarnate Word. She's a criminologist who has been very instrumental in helping us put these things together and moving forth. And so, and I have David Trickett out of Houston, Texas coming who was actually a disciple of mine while we was in prison. And he started a prison ministry when I got out. And this is his 10th year.
Okay. So
and this is his 10th year.
Okay.
And he actually 5 years ago started some transition facilities there in Houston, Texas. And they were able to purchase a $3 million church, and they're now renovating it. And it's a $12 million project that they are renovating that will be able to hold 100 men.
That's awesome.
20 of them being in orientation, 80 of them being in the facility. And so there's some exciting things that God is doing. And we want to share our vision of what we are doing and how others can help us, other skills. And because I believe the more we can educate people and give them understanding and resources, then they, and I learned this from Miss Janie Barra with Lift Fund. And I told her, I want to learn how to. I don't want you to give me the fish. I want you to learn. I want to learn how to fish. But she said, Jarvis, I don't want to only teach you how to fish. I want to show you how to buy the pond.
All right.
I said, now that's even
I like
better.
that. All right.
She said, I want to show you how to buy the pond. And that's what we want to do with people. And one of the things I teach guys and girls coming out of prison is that we're no longer in an age of employer to employee or company to person. We're in an age of what are you bringing to the table? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, me as an employer, I'm not really looking at that just because you've been in prison, I'm looking to put you to work.
Right.
I'm looking at what are you bringing to the table?
What do you have to offer?
So we're teaching them to promote themselves. And, you take a guy been in prison cooking for 14 years. He's got some experiences that a lot of restaurants need.
That is so true.
So teaching individuals another perspective of how to look at what they've been doing. And, it's no such thing as leaving it blank. Filling in that I've been working for TDCJ for the last 15 years. And what were you doing? Well, I was a custodian.
Right.
I worked in the fields.
And it's important because so many people oftentimes too feel like you have to go reinvent the wheel or do something new, not realizing you already have internalized and have those skills right there at hand. But
back to the program, it's going to be November 5th. That'll be this coming Tuesday at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. At the DoubleTree downtown, across from UTSA. Okay. And that's 502 West Cesar Chavez Boulevard. And again, we're going to have a whole program. The meals are $40. The tables are, I want to say $250, but their sponsorship at $500, $15, and $25.
Okay.
And all of this information is online at Inside Out 4, and that's the number 4, Jesus.
So that's
.org.
INSIDE, the number 4, out.org.
Right.
Inside Out
for
Jesus.org. Okay.
Yeah, and you can go on and participate in that capacity online.
So if they can't attend the event, can they still go on that website and make donations
They
as
can
well?
still go on that website and make donations as well, and we would be very grateful for that.
Okay, and if you have someone that just wants to reach out for services, maybe there's a grandmother out there listening, or even a child of someone who's been incarcerated saying, hey, my parent is away, what can you do for me? How can they contact you? And
that same website has a icon that says need services. That will immediately email us, and we'll reach back out to you, and we'll get it started right there. It's a very simple process. We're easy to get. You can see the telephone number on the website. You know, you don't have to search and search. Look for it. It's there.
So it's a click away, just a click away. Go on.
And you can get in touch with us, and we'll be glad to work with you accordingly.
Well, Mr. Moore, I am thankful that you are a guest today, and I am going to have you before we exit. I know we've been saying we're getting ready to go, but just to offer motivation to those who believe that they can't do it, or the road is too hard, I'm just going back to my old ways. I just want you to share where you are today. He's already shared with us 10 years. He's celebrating being out of prison, but talk to them just real briefly on where you are as a business man in our society today.
Okay. I'm the co-founder of Get Right City, our first business. In 2013, we started Jarvis Moore Incorporated, which is a concrete demolition company. And we do concrete work for the city of San Antonio. Throughout the city, we do the ADA ramps, sidewalks and curbs, and we take them out, install them back. On the staffing end, we staff labor in various places throughout the city: AT&T Convention Center, AT&T Toyota Field, several different construction areas.
So those are major projects.
Yeah, major projects, and we staff. This year, we'll probably be staffing throughout the year, probably right at 500 people throughout the year.
And will some of those opportunities be available?
And some of those opportunities and knowledges will be available there. Or you can always come by 217 North of Brownsville, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4, and do the paperwork right there. And we're looking to see where your skill sets are, and we can place you, because we're looking right now for, I need a CDL truck driver. I need heavy equipment operators that have some experience in the
so you're hearing the call.
And you know, we'll need people that want to work. You know, one of the things I've learned, and I know you were closing, is that, you know, there are 3 schools of people. There's people that want to work, but they don't want a job. And there are people that want a job, but they don't want to work. And we're looking for the persons that want a job and want to work. So that's what we're looking for.
So you have to have the will and the want, and they can help you do the rest. So once again, I thank you so much. Please, if you feel it in your heart, maybe you are someone who has experienced being given a second chance. This is an opportunity to give back. How were you helped? He talked about the pastor that helped him. If you're a pastor and maybe your church has a ministry, this is an opportunity to connect. We just want you to, once again, understand that services are available. There is no reason that we should be giving the state the opportunity, the state or the federal government, to continue to build prisons. We want to break those chains, and I'm thankful for Mr. Moore taking time out to share this information, because sometimes people have information but they don't share it. He's here, he's giving you his story, and where there is a will, it's still my belief that the Lord will make a way.
Right.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
your time and coming
Thank you
on
very
today.
much.
That is Inside Out for Jesus Ministries. I am your host, Linnell Taylor, and this is our special edition of Black Video News, the place where we're always bringing you the hottest topics and the hottest guests.